Test cricket's oldest rivalry. It will resume with arguably the most anticipated chapter of the modern era when hosts England meet arch rivals Australia at Edgbaston on Friday for the first of 5 Ashes Test matches. This much-awaited series pits World Test champions and second-ranked Australia against third-placed England, whose stunning Bazball approach to Test cricket has revitalized the 5-day format and has seen the Ben Stokes-Brendan McCullum combination oversee some fantastic Test victories over New Zealand, South Africa and Pakistan. And the big question now is, does Pat Cummins' Australian team have it in them to beat England in England, or will the visitors become the latest team to be Bazballed? It has been 22 years since an Australian team won the Ashes in England, but Cummins' team believes this summer will end that sorry record. And with the likes of Scott Boland adding plenty of potency to the Australian bowling attack, the number 1 Test batsman Marnus Labuschagne and on a roll Steve Smith, who has 11 Test centuries in England, many now believe this team can indeed stop the English juggernaut. But England have momentum on their side with an aggressive batting order complemented by the return of Moeen Ali from Test retirement and the speed of Ollie Robinson, Mark Wood and Matthew Potts. And of course, don't forget Test cricket's most successful bowling pair of James Anderson and Stuart Broad. So then, will Australia crush Bazball or be crushed by it? The action starts tomorrow in Birmingham, and I can tell you we're all excited. I'm excited about it, and I'm sure Jamie is, and so is Kushan, because this is unpredictable, Jamie. Both these teams are so good. To see that Australia, World Test champions, they would have been buoyed by their victory at the WTC final, and then you have England, who've really changed the landscape of Test cricket in the last couple of years. This is as exciting as it gets.
Oh, it's a fantastic series, especially coming, just less than a week after that WTC final, from which Pat Cummins' side must have taken massive confidence. Because, right, like you rightly said, Steve Waugh was the last captain to win an Ashes in England. And just saying that for someone who, since he started watching cricket, routinely saw the England team get pounded by Australia, in Australia and England, to imagine that it's been 22 summers since any Australian team won the Ashes, says just in what directions England cricket has gone. And speaking of direction, since McCullum and Stokes teamed up, this Bazball has done a lot of wonders. Of course, a lot of critics of that term, and a lot of people, believe me, are now saying that, oh, that bubble is going to be burst by Australia. I'm not so sure. I don't see, because of the way these two teams play cricket, especially under McCullum and Stokes, I don't see any draw unless it rains for 3 days out of any of the 5 days. And I think it's going to be 3-2 to England, because both teams are playing some very, very exciting cricket. Australia are actually ranked higher than England. They're ranked number 2. I think that'll become number 1 very soon. But look, this is fantastic cricket. I think Bazball will work for another summer. But I think where this series is going to be decided in is actually in the batting. Because you look at the openers on both sides. David Warner could be playing his last Test match if this Ashes doesn't, or his last Test series if the Ashes doesn't go. He can't buy a run now. I'm still shocked that India gave him 45 free runs on that first day of the WTC final. Usman Khwaja, arguably Meha and Kushan, is the biggest comeback story of the last WTC cycle, but he has no record to speak for in England. On the other side, you have Zach Crawley, who always seems to be like one inside edge or one bowled away from being dropped. Somehow he's been back, but he doesn't have form to speak of. And then you have someone like Ben Duckett, who was dropped from England's Test team about 6 years ago and was pigeonholed as someone who couldn't play spin, couldn't play red ball cricket. And now we see him reverse hitting sixes. So if the openers on both sides struggle, then it's going to come down to Labuschagne, Smith, Head, and Root, Stokes, and Harry Brook. The bowling, we know Australia have a fantastic, possibly the best fast bowling attack going around. England also have a very fine attack. So I know the bowling is sorted, but the batting has some pretty obvious weaknesses. So whatever it is, it's going to be 5 outstanding Test matches.
Which is why this is so exciting, because you don't know who really has the advantage. I mean, I think because of the record that England have at home, it's been 22 years since Australia won it. In England, maybe they have slight advantage, but then Bazball against the likes of Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, Scott Boland, Josh Hazlewood, not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy, but look, the fact that Bazball has worked in every single home series, it worked in Pakistan on those benign tracks, you know. I mean, Rabada, Nokia, Nagiri, these guys are quick bowlers. They were smashed. You know, India had a very good bowling attack. They couldn't stop 380 from being chased down. New Zealand bowled Saudi, Wagner, Henry. These guys were smashed around. Yes, these four Australian fast bowlers seem to be on current form, a cut above the rest. But Mitchell Stark, there were phases where Stark and Cummins
Yeah.
looked very average against India's rather sorry batting lineup in the WTC final. And I'm talking about, you know, possibly the weakest top five going around in top flight Test cricket. And
Yeah.
if these England heroes start hitting in Maya, anything is possible. That's why I'm saying a riveting series, every match result, but 3-2 to England.
Okay, 3-2 to England. We'll hold you to that one. Jamie Alter, Kushan Sarkar, thank you so much. What's also exciting is that Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum has said that even if they need a draw to reclaim the Ashes, they will still try in the last test match, in the fifth test match, they will still try to go for a win. That's the kind of attitude that England are going to go in with. And of course, they are up against a team like Australia, who are the World Test champions. So a lot to look forward to. That's it from us. News 9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.